I was not involved in the preparation of the ayahuasca, so unfortunately do not have dosage details. I was on no medication or vitamin supplements, had gone through a regular day with no fasting or excessive meals at the end of a week during which I'd not ingested anything psychoactive. Jade, guide and master trip chef, dropped 4 capsules of crushed up harmaline, Syrian rue, in my palm. 50 minutes after taking these, there was an onset of barely detectable fuzziness, not in my visual field but in my tactile field. Specifically, the boundary between my body and the world around it were blurring. The sensation can be described as either absorbing the world into myself or the world absorbing me. An hour and a half after taking the Syrian rue we began smoking a light concoction of 5-MeO DMT and marijuana. Enough for an immediate indefinite DMT reaction. Not a dose high enough for spaceflight or warp drive, but the crackly increase of frequency of the body, the epidermis, followed by a scattering of vision and a wave of mental hallucinations, noise. The glass pipe was smoked this way on and off for a few hours. The harmaline 5-MeO DMT combination extends the trip for many hours, allowing it to build very quickly, reaching a peak within 20 minutes, then remain at that peak, or modulating around it up and down, waves and troughs, or variations on a theme. It was a clean trip. My head felt clear immediately after puffing on the kosh. My awareness was suspended in this clarity for a few seconds, and would then be dropped back into the wave pattern of mental motion, characterized by an increased mental noise, and a diffusion of thoughts. Vocal language escaped me. My own language and my ability to use it would not do justice to the information that was delivering itself to me and transubstantiating in my mind. I felt stable, I underwent no change, but I was swept up in the drastically chaotic world around me. The only visual hallucinations, the changing world, were invisible. Objects were not moving or warping, but I watched layers upon layers of action, or energy, or frequencies, existing around and between everything. A purely conceptual hallucination filter placed over my sensory map, like a sheet of acetate with light colors placed over a picture on a projector. The colors on the filter filled in some blanks on the original picture. I'm guessing, but I think I was seeing verbs. There was also an irresistible urge to grin. The mere act of filling my lungs with air, both in the smoky, misty room and outside, was joyful enough to give me the giggles. It wasn't pleasure so much as joy. The distinction I make here has a lot to do with the come down, which was effortless other than exhaustion from so much mental activity. The pleasure I experience from LSD and MDMA is one that tends to make me want more when I'm coming down, like a slight withdrawal. There is none of that with this 5-MeO-Huasca, which really seems to do no more than take the 10 to 40 minute DMT, 5-MeO acute trip and stretch it out with harmaline to many hours. It expands, it slows way down and drifts you along with great big feathery wings rather than strapping rocket boosters to your ass. It worked like a microscope on the trip. It seems worth noting that harmaline has a softening and expanding effect on LSD, and possibly others, that I haven't tried mixing it with yet. 5-MeO-Huasca. Highly recommended for pleasure seekers and explorers alike. For the uninitiated, I'll say that I have noticed a change in my daily pattern of thoughts since I've begun taking DMT, 5-MeO. I don't call these flashbacks because I don't have sudden distortions in consciousness, with one notable exception during which a quadrant of my visual field disappeared, bending the remaining 3 quadrants together, for a very distorted hour and a half. But I do take a lot with me back from a trip. Mostly I call it the breakdown of conceptual barriers resulting in funny little things like expanding the definition of language to the point where some folks are gonna look at you funny when you're talking to them. Or their cats. No biggie.